A bank that unites the BRICS group of rapidly growing economies has issued a new bond in South Africa that's become one of the highest valued on the domestic market. The new development bank placed the obligation in 3- and 5-year tranches in South Africa's rand currency. The issue is part of a major effort to boost the national economy, specifically by increasing trade turnover. The bank has been strengthening its presence on emerging markets around the world and encourages the use of local currencies. We heard from locals in South Africa who believe BRICS is helping to unite the African continent.
BRICS is a good move to unify Africa, to bring about a unified currency, and so we can build Africa and move it forward.
I know in South Africa we strive for Ubuntu, which is basically bringing people together and accepting everyone. So I feel like with the BRICS that will bring everything together.
I would choose BRICS institutions because I feel as if they would benefit the country. I feel like in South Africa, there's a power struggle. And so I feel like with BRICS, it would really empower South Africa in a way, kind of boost the economy. So with BRICS, I feel like it would really help us a lot, just to unify us.
The argument for BRICS versus West is more about, for African people specifically, more about where do you want your money really based? Do you want it based in some type of interest or some kind of paper-backed thing that really has no value, or in the raw land materials that we are currently standing on and that we embrace on a day-to-day basis?
I believe and think that the Western people or the Western community are eyeing us as Africans, so they just want us to feel more indebted to them, and they are able to manipulate us with our resources. We have diamonds, we have gold, we have platinum, we have things that they would actually benefit more from us when we think we are benefiting from them more.
The BRICS grouping has also been discussing a unified currency across the bloc as it moves away from the traditional dollar-dominated trade. BRICS, which includes the economic powerhouses of China, Russia, and India, has emerged as a counterbalance to Western hegemony as it promotes a more multipolar world. Trade in national currencies is endorsed by BRICS members, especially in view of the heavy sanctions that the U.S. and other Western powers have imposed on rival economies around the world. We spoke with an economist, Dawi Root, who says that it's logical that BRICS countries move more towards trade in their own national currencies.
There are many reasons. One is that the South African financial market is quite liquid and it's relatively easy to issue bonds in South Africa. In fact, the South African capital market is probably some of the most liquid capital markets of all emerging countries in the world. So from that point of view, it's easy to do that. It is an established capital market. Secondly, of course, it's much better quite often to issue bonds in your own currency simply because you don't run the exchange rate risk. For example, if you issue in dollars, if you issue in dollars and your currency weaken, then you're running an exchange rate risk as well. And I think thirdly, I think the BRICS countries should more make use of their own currency more and more, especially when it comes to, say, for example, bonds and when it comes to trade as well. So I think there could be a number of reasons, and the reasons all make sense to me. The South African economy is hardly growing. The South African economy is by far the smallest of all the BRICS countries. In fact, if you look at the relative size of the various economies, one can argue that South Africa shouldn't have been part of BRICS to start off with. The South African economy this year is probably not going to grow or grow very, very slowly. And if you compare that to the Indians or even to the Chinese, and the Chinese economy is slowing down, in fact, but still they are growing much, much faster than the South African economy. And of course, they are a much, much bigger economy. So no, I'm afraid the South African economy, we are simply not pulling our weight, and our contribution in terms of growth is certainly not there.